Hello. How are you, everybody? How are you feeling
Doing
today
great.
during this beautiful Cannes Lions? I'm really glad that we are finally met in person because I know you for we've been knowing each other for 2 years,
I know.
and we haven't seen each other for 2 years in person and recorded some couple of podcasts together. You and I haven't seen each other for 6 months at this point, but recording a podcast almost every week right now. So first of all, let's start with how is everyone feeling at Cannes Lions? Beautiful Cannes behind us. So, hola.
Well, I love Cannes Lions, and I wish it lasts longer than just 1 week.
I agree.
know people feel tired because it's quite intense, but at the same time, the vibe, the whole atmosphere of the festival, all the places that I didn't have the chance to see because of a lack of time, so it's almost like you want to or clone yourself or make an answer place longer because there's so much to see, so many people to meet up, so many events at the same time. So it's really about choosing the best versus the best versus the best.
Exactly.
And you don't know really, sometimes there's a very difficult choices, but I think this event is so special because this is probably the only event for media and entertainment industry where you have around 100 or even more CEOs of the top companies from all over the world, and especially US, coming here. So if you want to see them, generally you have to fly here and there and wait weeks to book a meeting. Here you've got everyone in your hand, and you can meet fantastic people that are changing the industry. So I love it.
No, certainly. I feel like Cannes Lions is the heartbeat of the media and advertising industry in many ways.
Yeah.
Gets bigger and better every single year. And I agree with you. I wish it lasts for 2 weeks rather than just one. But everything good needs to be in moderation. I was able to get to see one of my good friends, Deepak Chopra. I met him previously in Charlotte, North Carolina, and he was speaking with the global CMO of JP Morgan Chase about well-being in the age of AI, which I think is a critical topic, which I shared some information about recently. Another great, some other great sessions that I saw were, at YouTube, of course.
Oh, yeah.
And then, there was great showings at Freewheel, a Comcast company, around, live sports as well, which was fantastic.
Oh, my gosh.
So,
Amazing.
Yeah, that's what I saw. That sports really was dominating. AI and sports was dominating the whole conversations this year.
Another critical topic is actually news, right? So
yeah, I saw CNN a lot, everywhere. So CNN and all of those, other Wall Street Journal, of course. I spoke to a lot of people from, when I was at the Wall Street Journal party, I spoke to a lot of people who are taking care of news, preparing news for even newsletters. The thing is, I met people who are literally write news for people who write about news. If that makes sense.
Sounds like Reuters, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I don't know what about you guys, but I really enjoyed, every year I go to Ad Week, all the time. You can go to all those parties and you always have this one place that you come back because you feel the most comfortable in.
Yeah.
And this year for me, as it was the last year, it was Ad Week, but also FQ.
Yes, fantastic.
It's amazing. The people there are amazing. When you are just surrounded by so many men and so much masculinity, you just want to, relax, cleanse from all of this. You just are going there and you are just meeting all of those amazing women, and mostly women, of course, but men who are just very supportive towards women. So that was an amazing one. And also the views from there.
Yeah, they've got the best views. And they had the 10th anniversary as well, because they started in Cannes 10 years ago.
Oh, they started in Cannes. Okay.
Yeah, so it's quite... Yeah, I think, their space is very much a welcoming
Oh, yes.
So if you're a woman or man, or you're coming there, this is the kind of space that everyone's feeling good. There was no restrictions, no any like lists or something like that. You apply, you there, you enjoy, and it's very kind of respectful environment there.
And
yes, for me the best is the Sport Beach by Stagwell as well.
I've never been.
I love the atmosphere and actually talking about media and how sport is important for media, but also about data and AI for analytics. And actually that's what's kind of a topic of our today podcast, video streamer,
yes, exactly.
everything else.
Like we're gonna talk a lot about the data today because we have an amazing guest who is mostly all about data and all about checking where people tick, right? So that was amazing, segue towards our main topic.
But I think you need to introduce Philip first of all, because
sorry.
you can't just.
I think that I don't think that I would be the best person to explain who Philip is because we know each other for quite some time at this point. And when we went to some parties last night, I was introducing him and everything. But I feel like Philip has this amount of charisma and everything that I think that he should explain us.
No, you always do such a great job.
Oh my gosh. So Philip is the executive vice president at MediaScience. MediaScience is the company that is all about data and neuroscience in general. You guys are checking how valuable are different ads in different formats on different platforms, not only on TV, not only on typical social media, but also including VR, AR, Roblox, gaming platforms. You guys are doing a lot of research and a lot of you guys are writing a lot of white papers. Last year, you and we had a little series. I don't know how to call it. It's not series or podcast. Podcast series is 3 episodes, a series about gaming and different platforms, different formats within the gaming advertising. And it's very rare to see a company that is so early into this type of new innovation within marketing, who is immediately doing some research and immediately is preparing this data to show this off to brands, to agencies. So I think that in a nutshell, I could say that you are working with the biggest companies in the world. But yeah,
I thought that was a great intro. So yes, media science quantifies context for the new media landscape.
Mm-hmm.
Context starts at the user need state.
Yeah,
we want experiences to entertain us. We want experiences to activate our cognition, to consume information, and also just to have a great time. We want drama, we want comedy, etc. And we go to different media experiences on different devices, right? So first off, a mobile phone, television, of course, PC, gaming, as you said, console, the wide spectrum. But we also need to meet the audience where they are, right, within the world, right? Because the audience, moves to environments that attract them, and engage them. And then it goes down to the platform level, right? So there are certainly differences between our perceptions of Netflix versus our perceptions of Hulu, as an example, or even Amazon Prime Video, right? They might be very fine differences, but we should quantify them so that we can understand them, and then we can, tailor experiences in an even better way. Programming is context as well, right? So this is a program. Hi, Mom. But programming is critical because different types of genres have different powers to access that need state.
Yeah.
So with sports, as we talked about, right? Sports achieves what's called excitation transference. That excitement is misattributed to sponsors and advertisers while they watch sports. Whereas news achieves cognitive transference, right? So we're consuming news and we can't turn off that cognitive function. When we go into the ad break, it's the best opportunity for several different verticals of advertisers, to achieve and refresh memory structures.
So basically, you're helping the advertisers to choose the best way so they get the most, they monetize the best the adverts, right? And
Absolutely.
they are the most sort of personalized to the viewers. And obviously, through the streaming wars and all what's happening.
That what sells the most after all, right? Or what reaches the most people.
Well, it's about preserving the audience's experience, right? Like we need to, always start first with the audience, right? It's not that viewers don't like advertising. Advertising in some ways is kind of good. It gives us a mental break in some ways. People don't like bad advertising experiences, right? So, things like clutter, things like too much frequency, right? We can quantify just how much frequency or clutter, will upset the audience, basically. So when you ask people, how they feel about advertising, they say, I don't like ads, but that's, the rational interpretation of how they think they must feel, right?
Yeah, that's why you have, for example, sport, where you could hide advertising in so many other places that you don't need to have a break for advertising, right? There's so many different spots that during the watching you can actually advertise, and then there are new formats, right? So that'll be really interesting to hear more about.
Yeah,
because I guess the same is for gaming, right? And you did some work with Roblox,
because
that's right. You also can hide lots of different adverts everywhere, and work with the brands. How is it work?
I agree with you. Yeah, it's not that we should hide even. Like we should. With gaming, I wrote a white paper with IAB, and that's kind of what started our
That's
friendship.
how we even started this, everything.
So I recognize that, first off, gaming is bigger than the music industry and the film industry in Hollywood combined, right? Which should say
that's
something.
That's what we figure out doing our podcast.
Which, I was quite surprised about when I learned. But when you take a step back and think about it, all of us are gaming, or many of us are gaming, just in different ways. And we wouldn't probably define ourselves as gamers, even though I play chess on my phone constantly, even though, my CEO plays Words with Friends, and we're using mobile games as a format. So, with Roblox in particular, Roblox gives us an opportunity to create entire worlds. Right. So anything that we see here in the physical world can be recreated in the digital world. And Roblox is enabling, incredible immersive experiences. So what we did with Roblox is we ran a controlled experiment leveraging our psychophysiological tools. We used eye tracking, heart rate data, and sweat activity, as well as electroencephalography, EEG. And we made a comparison because that's how we derive value in the media and advertising industry. We make comparisons across contexts.
Yeah.
So we went Roblox against television, against social media, and those platforms combined with each other, right? To see how they work together in harmony. And what we found is actually Roblox is in some ways a superior experience in terms of engagement, visual attention, and memory as compared to social media. And when we combine Roblox with social media, it's even more powerful. So these platforms are tools, right? They work together in harmony to achieve what we call the halo effect.
Yeah. So how does it work? Because as much as I know, Roblox is used by children, right? I don't know what's the age group.
Like the age group is growing right now. Like the 17 plus, like last year really grew.
And how that overlap with those who's got purchasing powers and need to be exposed? Is that more like children play, they're exposed to something, some brands, and then
like the
buying goes beyond? Like they ask the parents, like, "Oh, I like this," or they shaping the fashion or the trends through watching what's there, or did you find out something around that?
Absolutely.
Data.
I mean, I think this is similar to our culture, right? As families, right? Like we communicate with each other, and what they're providing is a vehicle to create immersive world experiences wrapped around brands that we know and love. Right. So, various racing leagues or NFL, I know, has activated in Roblox before as well, but also brands. Right. So brands that, younger demographics and even, older demographics know and care about, skateboarding, apparel, etc. Right.
Elvis Bay,
Adidas.
IKEA. By the way, IKEA just won a lion, a bronze lion.
Really?
Yeah, they won a bronze lion for their activation within IKEA. By the way, IKEA is a very big joke on this channel here because, like, our friend who you are going to finally meet one day, she's a huge fan of IKEA. They won a bronze lion yesterday, I think. So, like you have all of those brands who are, building this long term experience with their potential customers. But what also you mentioned here, that the purchasing power of those people, right?
Well, I think Roblox is today at least a $2 billion digital economy, right? Which
I think the number was way bigger.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
Well, I know that Roblox is is an incredibly large digital economy.
Oh, yes.
Right. So it's not just, branding around the world that you create within, a digital gaming experience, but it's also around, how you personalize your particular avatars or characters within these experiences as well. So this type of digital economy is really meaningful.
Yeah, it is.
And especially that age group, that's kind of brought up with Roblox. It's kind of growing. They're getting older, but they're still playing there because they still have their friends there. They have their worlds there.
They have their own
it's like a
personality
constant expansion of that group. And actually, when you think where Roblox were years ago and now, it's just completely different platform.
The same how it was with YouTube in 2006, right? Like everyone was like, "Oh my god, kids are watching YouTube and everything." And I was one of them. But kids are watching YouTube and everything like that. Now everyone is watching YouTube, and actually, YouTube is one of the biggest things ever when it comes to the creator economy.
Yeah, but that's the way to actually capture that generation, because they're not really watching TV much or listening to the radio, So gaming is kind of like a natural way for the extension of the world. So what you said was it's they basically getting more engaged through Roblox, so they read adverts much better than just watching on the flat screen during the films.
I think we're using these types of immersive experiences to also create culture, right, and also lifestyle, right. So like when we asked participants, how they choose to use Roblox, they often use Roblox to interact with their friends and even their family. Yeah. When we asked Roblox users how they use Roblox and why, often what we heard was that they use it to relax and actually communicate and have fun with their friends and family. So it shapes culture, and it makes sense to build and refresh memory structures, leveraging brands' distinct assets within a three-dimensional immersive experience that also has a digital economy behind it. It gets us closer and closer to emulating, the real world. And I'm certain that as these users, continue to grow as well, these experiences can be even more complicated and even more, similar to the real world, but also far beyond. And that's what I love about gaming, which is, we can really use this creatively, especially in the age of generative AI, right? Which is going to be even more interesting, I think.
And probably have many more data points in gaming than, let's say, watching films, which is very difficult to actually measure the experience, the engagement, right? In gaming, because they actively playing, you can actually have more data about what people like, what they don't, how they behave, what's they
for sure. I always think that within gaming, from the conversations that I've had, right, like absolutely we can see what is on the screen of a user, right? But with precision grade instrumentation, like eye tracking data with infrared cameras, can see precisely where they're looking at. Right? When we talk about attention as a construct, we talk about it being a gate that we pass through, right? Once we get through the gate, we actually need to achieve focus. So, the counterbalancing act here is, as fantastic audiences are looking at the screen and they're focused on perhaps gameplay. Well, how do we intersect with gameplay that, still achieves the goals that we have as advertisers within these experiences, and also, elevate the experience for the audience too, right? Provide them with free swag, within the gaming world too.
But also the things that you also mentioned is something that you mentioned about like the overall reach within Roblox or within gaming in general, right? But there's one very big thing that not a lot of CMOs are talking about, and I feel like they need to recontinue this conversation because this is very important topic. So when we are comparing this type of format, because this is a format or the type of platform, there's one more thing that is very big for those brands, which is people are spending more time there. Like, we can watch, you can spend millions of dollars on an ad during Roku or like on Roku or something like that, or somewhere in between the Hulu ads and everything. But those people are going to see this ad maybe 3-4 times, and we have 2 minutes. But then they go to Roblox or Roblox is Fortnite or any of other of those platforms that they're spending 30 minutes there, or they're coming back there for more perks that you mentioned, right? Like the additional features that they can get from the brand, right? And now this whole thing, this longer engagement with those people, and also the fact that the CPMs are way better, and the fact that they can get something for free. Now on top of that, through Roblox, right? Because Roblox is the thing that you are working with. Now they can close the funnel. I don't know if you saw this.
No, I saw the Shopify partnership for sure. What I will say is this, right? Again, all platforms have different powers.
Yes.
And, time spent is a great metric, right? But, at the end of the day, context still absolutely matters. So Roblox, I think, is definitely an important part of the ecosystem, but I would never discount, the power of Hulu or the power of Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
Television.
It's all about relevance, right?
Yes,
absolutely.
And personalization, and making sure the quality of the ad sets something interesting, not only what we're interested in, but also the creativity there. It's actually absorbing like humor and stuff people love to watch, So, for example, I was during Cannes Lions at the panel that Tubi did this year with Seal, and they talked about that advert where Seal was an animal seal. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Singing,
that was great.
The song, and how they came with the idea, and how, he was checking with his kids what they think about it, and then created the ad, and how quickly they got the results, as a brand from that ad, because it was something new, something interesting, but it's actually bringing the partnership together and making that connect. I don't know who came up with the idea. Seal is a seal, yes, but it was kind of funny itself, and you can hear quite lots of vibe around it.
Also, using Seal and Tubi, right? So the collaboration. Yeah, I didn't see the ad. So
no, it was the Seal ad, basically with drink. Yes, there was a drink.
So maybe that could be a mystery.
So there was like a PepsiCo involved there. So there was that partnership, right? But because the creativity of the ad and the way how they connected that two things, Seal with a seal and very well-known song, and the fun element of that, when you have a good ads, they really go a long way, and people enjoy watching them. So that's where we, move into connected TV actually, and it's from gaming, and you also work in that space. And as I know, you're working with Freewill as a partner, right? And across the whole spectrum of different brands. So if you can tell us a little bit more about this space, because it's also very interesting, and it's also growing significantly, right?
Connected television is an incredible frontier, for all of us, right? It brings us into the age of interactive television as well. And it also gives us incredible new data signals. But we also need to, again, always focus on the viewer's experience. So Freewill, a Comcast company, partnered with MediaScience, and we actually announced our partnership creating the Viewer Experience Lab. in Cannes in 2023. So now we're 2 years in, and we produced together, I think at this point, 7 different reports around the viewer's experience and creating ideal ad experiences, premium ad experiences. So when we think about this architecturally, we can bucket it in some ways, right? So we need to think about it at the ad pod level, right? So how many ads should be within an ad pod, and how many breaks should there be within a program? We also need to think about it in terms of ad length within the pod. And what we found in one of our reports is actually that we need to maintain consistency in terms of length in order to maintain expectations of the audience. And when we mix up ad lengths, it's disruptive, and the audience perceives, the length of the ad pod to be longer than it actually is, which is really surprising. And then we also need to focus on frequency, right? And that's why it's important to understand who you've served ads to at which time on which platforms. I think that's something that FreeWheel does really well for the marketplace as well. And it's necessary as well to have a consistent experience across the board. So we're working with FreeWheel to try to go the distance in terms of new advertising opportunities and formats as well, as a courtesy to the entire industry, right? So interactivity is a really hot topic right now. Shoppable ads. Most of the industry, some of the industry that knows MediaScience well, but most of the industry that's still learning about us, they don't know that the majority of television advertising formats, the innovation that we've seen over the past, 17 years was first tested at MediaScience. Right. So we were first to test. We were first to test interactive television ads in partnership with ABC. We cultivated the picture-in-picture ad format that you see within sports. We're first to test 3D television, first to test video ads on mobile phone before the iPhone came out. Telescopic ads, the pause ad.
A lot to dig
into. So we've done, pause ad research with some of our great streaming platform partners and linear partners. And certainly we're working with Brightline, who I know that you're very familiar with as well, good friends with. And, we tested some great interactive ads around trivia.
That's why I was thinking that they were bringing, all those new formats. But it looks like it's all started way before.
Absolutely. We've been thinking about this for nearly 2 decades now. Right. In fact, our CEO, prior to founding MediaScience in partnership with the Disney with Disney and creating the Disney Media and Advertising Laboratory, he actually created the Interactive Television Research Institute as an academic. So he'd been thinking about this for a long time. So as we head into a world where we are connected and there are shoppable experiences, we need to serve experiences in which we're not being overly, we're not trying to make the audience severely interact with the remote in a enjoyable way, right? We need to
because it's almost like a seamless experience. They need to be convenient and in a way almost feel like magic, right?
Exactly.
So you don't need to think about where one technology starts when the other will finish and the shoppability and watching, right? Is that?
Certainly. And we have a lot of intelligence. We look back at our legacy and our heritage, and we're able to draw from that legacy and heritage and apply it to the future because we've seen so much in the past.
So what's the hottest trend now in terms of format and...
Well, I know that pause ads have done really well for the industry, right? People are concerned about optimizing towards attention. Right. But what we know is that we can create a memory structure within a very, very short amount of time. And, we just need to create seamless experiences. Right. So, with pause ads, when a user is watching television, they decide to go, pause the television, go get a drink from the fridge, as an example. Even that small interaction that they, glance at the TV and see the ad, this can have a dramatic impact. Even comparing it to a 30-second ad can still have a fantastic, impact as well. And we've done that research recently with our partners at Glance TV, which is in.
So is that number one when you think about the format?
The pause ad.
Oh, I mean, the formats, ad innovation. Just like different content, just like different programming, right? ad formats are simply different tools that give us different powers as well, right? And we're meeting the user where they are, right? So, with Samsung ads as an example, they've created a new gaming trivia format called the Six, right? And this takes over the ad pod, and it's just a fun way to educate audiences on brand history, et cetera, right? So it's just a new look at the brand, super fun. Whereas a new format like Glance, I was surprised to hear that, oftentimes when a television is on, it might go to a screensaver, right? And Glance, what they're doing is they're taking the opportunity of the screensaver, and they're sharing news and sports information and curated content experiences, and then they're also serving very high quality branded experiences as well in the form of a screensaver, and that I'm sure is going to transform over time too.
Yeah.
So we need to look at these platform experiences as tools, but it's not good enough to just innovate. We need to prove why the innovation works, and that's where MediaScience comes in, right? We need precision level insight to communicate the value proposition across these different formats, right?
That's interesting. Sounds really complex as well, but really, really interesting. So think about, connected to the ads, we talk about gaming. Now, I'm coming from AI space a lot, and now probably naturally will be interested to know how this is disrupting the whole advertising industry for those channels, like where will be the personalization, how the content will be created, how this will help your company. What do you do already, like with AI, to kind of use that data that you have and create, like, I don't know, new products or new ways of discovery? What's next? So what's next with AI?
I mean, there's so much next with AI, right? MediaScience has actually been, building different use cases for AI for the past decade. And fundamentally, when we approached AI, we approach it with a very principled viewpoint, right? We understand that AI has so much promise. We're so excited about it, but we also believe that we need to, derive insight to provide the entire industry with guardrails, right? Right now it's exciting, fantastic, and there's many use cases for it. There's use cases as a tool for, increased productivity of human capital. There's use cases that, we've heard a lot about during Cannes Lions about, augmentation of the workforce. And, I think I heard the CMO of Microsoft, the global CMO of Microsoft, talk about, we came from, the past several years, we've talked about full stack developers, and now we're going to see full stack marketers, right? So, what I'm grateful and proud to hear on these stages, though, is that marketers are very nuanced in their approach. And I think that's necessary, and we definitely need to derive more insight. So, what I will say about generative AI is MediaScience is leaning in, right? We've created some new generative AI tools to help us and our clients develop concepts faster, right? We take those concepts. So we're calling it Concept Studio, right? And we're integrating Concept Studio with our other platform called MediaPet, which stands for...
That's what I was looking for.
That's right.
I was like, okay, I remember you had a AI product, and something was up with cats or pets or something like that. And okay, now I get it.
Yeah, it's a distinct brand asset, one of our mascots. So MediaPet stands for Platform Emulation Technologies. Okay. So platform emulation.
Of course, it stands for that. Yeah.
we emulate all of the major social media platforms. So we create simulations that look like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Snapchat, et cetera. And then with Concept Studio, we're taking a core concept that we've derived from insights. We're rapidly iterating around these concepts, and then we're testing it within a controlled, simulated environment, so that we can derive early signals based on behavioral data, as well as memory collected within a post-exposure survey, and as well as a bunch of other, survey-based KPIs. And that way we can narrow our focus, because you can create anything with generative AI, but what we need to do is we need to focus on what actually moves our brands, right? What actually helps us achieve our objectives, right? So these concepts are tactics, and our call to the industry is, it's not good enough to just show research participants an ad and ask them how they feel. Let's instead put the ad concept within a platform that looks and feels like Facebook, right? We're not going to share with them that we're actually testing that concept. Let's see if it actually makes them stop the scroll.
Like a testing ground, so they can safely do that.
Exactly.
What about agentic AI? Have you thought about agentic AI?
Absolutely. I think agentic AI is going to impact every research company in North America. I mean, like, we haven't even talked about synthetic data at this point, right? But, our processes are complex, right? MediaScience has got a lot of experts that make up our company, from research assistants to programmers and developers, coders, which, code the data files that we receive, experts within eye tracking data, biometric data like heart rate data, sweat activity, facial expressions, and electroencephalography. This is an entire, bespoke, deeply skilled team that we've put together, a team of experts that I don't think exists anywhere in the world. So we certainly, are looking at agentic AI to see how we can continue to do research at the speed of industry, but we're still certainly focused on human data, right? Although we're excited about the future, we think that we can use AI as a tool to help us do what we do better and faster, but always placing the human at the center of this conversation.
So human AI cooperation, or augmenting human powers. Great.
Do you think that media science will ever going to be on that stage?
Well, I sure hope so. Otherwise, what am I doing here? No, I really think that we should be.
Like, do you think that there is a category that media science could be in, or there should be created the Cannes Lions Award category that is specifically created for research companies that are working on creative ads?
Well, I think that the industry, we have a wonderful industry, right?
Yeah.
I really love this industry, actually.
This industry is so fun.
It's filled with such great people, right? And Cannes Lions is no exception, right? It gives creatives a stage to be recognized, and there's so much creativity that's happening, and it's so wonderful to bring everyone together here to have these important conversations. Certainly, I do think that innovation within human insight is critical, right? We're lucky enough to have been awarded presentations at the Advertising Research Foundation recently. I presented with our good friends at LinkedIn, the B2B Institute, which is LinkedIn's think tank, and my colleague Daniel Bolgren presented with Freewheel on the amazing research that we've done there. So those were award-winning papers, and actually, we've been selected to speak at the Advertising Research Foundation pretty much every year for the past 10 years. So to bring that type of category to Cannes would be great. To make the whole industry aware of how much we care about the work that they do.
It's like a part of that industry, because this industry is changing. I think there's more and more ad tech, and all of that coming into the space. But yesterday I went to see awards, and I just, we very often we forget that actually at the heart of this event is that award ceremonies where people work in the whole, years sometimes to be able to send their work here and to be recognized from all over the world. And I was talking to lots of creators, and they were saying, even from Brazil or, some Asia, and they said this is the stage for them, the number one stage when they want to be awarded is Cannes Lions, and you can't question about it. But I realized because it's getting more and more tech, people very often going to meet all those tech companies and missing out on to see actually the real creation, which is often, yes, there's quite a few projects created with AI or with, different technologies, because you can't really avoid that. But is that human tech cooperation, but in the heart of the creativity and the festival, right?
Absolutely. I think, it's just at a fundamental level, technology is meant to bring us together.
Exactly.
Right. We're all in this together as a tribe. The companies that lean into, creating community, I think, will win in the long term. But I'm also excited to see, new companies that spring up. It creates innovation in the industry, because we need to fundamentally evolve as well. I do think that at the end of the day, what's not being talked about enough is science. Right. I was on a panel. I was listening to a panel.
They talk about media, but nothing else.
That's what they would actually ask you. The name of your company is intriguing as well.
I think we were very intentional, with how we want to help the industry. We do believe in science rather than in just optimization in terms of performance. Right. I believe that optimization is fantastic, especially in terms of efficiencies. But I believe that science is how we can understand where we should be heading to in the future. So it's great to optimize the present. I'm excited about the present, but we're going to go beyond AI at MediaScience. And we're going to bring together the community, of our peers that we've collaborated with, and others that would like to join. We're actually going to create a consortium called Beyond AI to focus on this intersection with the viewer's experience and generative AI, right? And how it impacts across
really
the
interesting, because it looks like you are at the top of the game.
Always.
Like all those companies need to talk to you, because you can, through your science, you can predict when everyone is excited about what's now, you can predict what's next. And that's you can only probably predict with data and live information.
And
right. And a bit of magic science in there.
No,
secret ingredient.
Not magic. Listen, no magic, right?
No, magic it feels like magic.
It feels like magic, but it feels like magic because it's precision, right? When we use blunt instrumentation, right, we just go around in circles, right, adjacent to the actual insight. When we use precision-grade instrumentation, we understand clearly and communicate simply, right, what is actually happening here to the audience. And what I feel like what we were doing at MediaScience is actually giving a voice to the audience that, they're unable to access themselves in some ways. Right?
They're not punished to watch half an hour adverts just to be able to continue the film, right?
Exactly.
So they have great experience,
So there's a long road to go. I mean, I was hosted by LinkedIn here as well. We love working with the LinkedIn B2B Institute.
Yeah, with Ty, right?
Exactly, Ty.
Also, we didn't discuss here, but LinkedIn, so I use a lot LinkedIn.
We all
think
do.
It's a brilliant B2B media to use. And I think, at the moment, most of the professionals are searchable on LinkedIn. They have their profile. But I also realized they also like new formats. So before was photos, descriptions, some text. Now you've got video formats, and especially the vertical one now, which looks like almost like TikTok or some other social media. It's interesting to find out from you a little bit, because we can only see it. You probably know what's behind. Tell us what's happening with LinkedIn.
With LinkedIn's B2B Institute, which is their think tank, They reached out to MediaScience to understand, the performance of B2B ads. And together we conducted one of the largest neurometric eye tracking and human memory studies for the B2B industry of all time. So what we found through this endeavor, after measuring over 100 advertisements across a pretty large sample for our type of research, so quantitative sample of N equals 770 participants, half of which were B2B managers, right, that make buying decisions. What we found was that 81% of the B2B ads that we measured have no value whatsoever, right? So people don't look at them and people don't remember them, right? And, we think that this is a symptom of creative in many ways, right? So creative, we're at Cannes Lions, we're celebrating creative. But we also need to understand that creative also, is tied to business impact as well, right? All of this is an ecosystem that works together. And what we found was that, 81% have very little value, but 19% do. So what are the 19% doing that the 81 aren't, right? And what they're doing is they're relying on the principles that we've discovered at MediaScience, as well as in partnership with our colleagues at the Ehrenberg Bass Institute of Marketing Science. What we need to be focused on is branding early and often, because, regardless of how we qualitatively feel about it, right? What we need to do is we need to accomplish the goal, right? The goal is that, even if people think it's an advertisement, we need to make them sure. We need to be sure that they know it's an advertisement for our particular company. We need to rely on distinct brand assets. So this is where storytelling comes in hand, right? We use particular imagery to tell our narrative, right? And we use sometimes mascots, which is under leveraged completely in B2B, right?
Oh yeah, trust me, I am having those conversations all the time right now.
Because you created a mascot.
Because we have a mascot, and I'm having those conversations with those B2B brands, and I'm like, guys, like Salesforce is doing such a great job. There are not a lot of companies with a really good mascot. What about you? And I actually last year I met this CMO of a B2B company in San Francisco. And I was like, hey, listen, I know that you guys have a little thing that kind of reminds people of a mascot. Let's create something. And we actually, I think within 2 days, we sent her a quick concept with a little animation. So she could be like, oh my gosh, let's do it. So that's a really undervalued thing. Really.
It needs to be the right fit for the brand. And you need to test this. Right? It's not good enough in today's day and age with the capabilities that we have, right? To just say we're going to do this because it sounds like the right thing, right? Just take a little bit more time and in a sandbox approach, like MediaPet, as we're talking about, let's see if the mascot makes sense for your brand, right? Or let's see if there's a particular type of story that is being under leveraged today, because every brand has an incredible heritage. Right. So let's determine what actually is working.
It's difficult because there's so many brands.
Yes.
So many variety. It's very difficult to have something unique. And this is perfectly much with your brand. So the next thing is probably the only way to see actually who we are, how people see us, rather than that we are this, right? And you push people to accept.
What was the last thing in the principles that you found? Because
absolutely. So, we need to rely on distinct brand assets. There are, our entry into, the memories of consumers, right? The golden arches of McDonald's, LV for Louis Vuitton. But we also should be looking into frequency of branding, right? So within an ad, we tested up to three levels of frequency of the brand showing up in the ad. We actually found no negative diminishing impact. Right. So more branding is more branding. It's not going to harm the ad. Right. We already know it's an ad for your brand. Right. You're not going to stop us from, we're not going to have negative perceptions if you tell us, that you are who you are again. And then one thing that is, a great opportunity for the industry, especially in B2B, is audio.
Oh, yeah.
Right. When you think about the brands that you grew up with, that I grew up with as a kid, and we think about, categories that are perhaps not as fun to talk about, like insurance, right? They've really done a great job in terms of leveraging tactics like humor, distinct brand assets like mascots and audio to communicate their value proposition. So like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Right?
My immediate thought was like,
That's McDonald's, right? Yeah. So we can use these different tools to start communicating our heritage, right? We can, share our story and create and refresh memory structures, right? Where we place ourselves is also a memory structure, right? We're in beautiful Cannes, right?
It's all kind of psychology as well, so it's kind of science.
That's the neuroscience, right?
Because, it's everyone's eyeballs, right, on the advertising, but also it looks like they need the ears too.
Exactly. It's not attention that we should be optimizing to, right? It's influence, right? And not influencers. I'm talking about actual impact in terms of how we're trying to show up, what we're trying to say, right? Are these things actually moving the needle? And in order to understand that at a deep human-based level, we need a multiple toolbox approach, right? Because each of the tools tell us different signals as to how we're achieving these communication objectives.
Awesome.
So data. Tech.
No. Human.
And
humanity.
Humans are so complex that.
Yeah, we are the original machine. It's a closed loop system, right? It's a beautiful machine, probably the most beautiful machine that the world and that the world will ever see, right? We're trying to use technology to connect each other to other, beautiful
we are not
machines.
perfect, but
No.
In a way, we still can't create
Just remember,
artificial human in a way.
we created all of this.
Exactly. Everything here is created by us.
Yeah.
So thank you, Philip, for being here with us.
Thank you.
We really dived into this topic very easily. So that was so nice to see you. I'm happy that we all met in Cannes. And I'm looking forward to seeing more episodes. I know that this is not the last thing that we are doing together. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
It is not the last thing that we are doing together. So we'll see how that goes. But thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
It was so fun. And
I love these conversations, especially with, like professionals like you guys, because you're a builder.
I'm a builder.
And,
I'm the creative.
No, absolutely. And you're a visioneer as well, right? Like you create the future and you enable your clients to achieve, what they're setting out to do.
Yeah.
And, I'm just fascinated. I'm a student in many ways, right? Like I'm a learner, right? Like I am looking at the industry. I'm looking at these different parts and I'm trying to, share insight to elevate the atmosphere and our general discourse. And that's what inspired me about our CEO, right? Like he founded MediaScience with the principle to create environments to cultivate the unlimited potential latent in humanity.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope that you got a lot of value and knowledge from us. If you want to find out more, go to our LinkedIn profiles and follow us on our podcast platforms. Links in the description. See you soon.